Today, I wanted to talk about some small things that you can do in your daily life to regulate your nervous system a little bit. I think the idea of regulating your nervous system is something we hear about quite a lot, and it sounds really daunting and time consuming. So, today, I just wanted to share a few small things that I do in my daily life, or like most days, that regulate my nervous system, ground me, that are like not time consuming, don't take much effort, literally take 5 minutes, but they actually do the job. And just in like general terms, what I mean by regulating your nervous system or having a dysregulated nervous system, I think having a regulated nervous system is your nervous system being able to rest and slow down when there's nothing that needs to be done, or no threat or no rush, and then kind of amp up when it needs to and when you've got stuff to do or when it's in danger, right? Being a bit more alert and switched on. That's kind of when it's regulated, when it can flip between the two depending on what's going on in your life. Generally, when it's dysregulated, you're kind of in a point of like stress and rush and just a heightened state, kind of anxiety almost, when you don't need to be, right? Nothing's actually going on. You could just take your time. You're having a normal day, but you're kind of confused about when to relax and when to wake up almost. And it's just not good for you, right? It's like it's stressful to live in a state of like your nervous system being a bit fried. And a lot of things do that. That's the thing. So many things in life dysregulate someone's nervous system. It could be having too much on your plate, being too busy, being too spread thin at work. It could be a stressful relationship. It could be being on your phone too much, too much caffeine. Like there's so many things that can dysregulate your nervous system. And I think it's important to pay attention and be aware of the state your nervous system is in, right? If you're activated all the time when you don't need to be, it's just not good for you. It's excess stress for your body and your mind, and it's quite taxing, and it can make you quite like irritable and snappy and like, it's just imagine what you feel like going through your daily life exhausted and stressed all the time when you don't need to be. Like, you can imagine how that would play out, right? So yeah, these are just like a few small, easily done, digestible things that I can like sprinkle throughout my day if I'm feeling like a bit dysregulated or a bit stressed or tense. The first one is actively reminding myself to slow down my pace when I don't need to be in a rush. This is kind of like one of the biggest signs of your nervous system is probably a bit dysregulated. When you notice that you're doing something with a sense of urgency that has no sense of urgency needed, right? You're just like kind of rushing about the house and you're doing this, doing that. It's like you could just drop your shoulders and like make your coffee at a normal pace. You're not in a rush. Do you know what I mean? I think that's one of the main things that your nervous system kind of shows up when it's feeling dysregulated is you can't relax, and it's your body not knowing when to switch off and relax and when to be in a heightened state of like having more of a sense of urgency. And there's a lot of time, if you start paying attention to it, it's actually quite concerning, where even if you're just like going for a walk, you're kind of pacing it unnecessarily. And I think that's probably the most helpful thing. The best thing to do for your nervous system is to actively slow down, because obviously that's signaling to your mind, I don't need to rush. Nothing's actually going on here. I can take my time. Another one that I always try and remember, sometimes I forget this and it's annoying, is when you're breathing, making your exhale longer than your inhale is such like a little hack that like signals to your body, again, I'm not in a rush. Nothing's going on. I don't need to be like, because when you're stressed and when you're rushing, like obviously your breathing is faster as well. And like consciously making your exhale longer than your inhale is just something easy you can do. Like I said, like you could be at work, you could be driving, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, you're always breathing. But just being more conscious of making that exhale longer than the inhale, because that does actually trigger your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the the rest and digest side of things, the soothing, like we're in a safe place kind of side of things. It almost turns that back on because your body's noticing if we're breathing slowly, we must be relaxed, because you only really breathe slowly when you're calm or when you're going to sleep and like blah, blah, blah. And that just almost like instantly calms you back down. So that's just kind of like a little life hack that you can do that wherever. It's just a good one to remember, especially if you're like feeling quite heightened and anxious and stressed. Shifting your breathing is actually surprisingly very helpful, but very easy. I also think a big one that you can do is creating just a sense of predictability in your life, in your days, even if it's just having like a couple things that you do when you first wake up. You do it every single day. It kind of gives your brain and your body a break from decision fatigue and, uncertainty and having to be switched on all the time. Anytime that you can kind of just create a sense of predictability and sameness and coziness. It's relaxing you and it's giving your nervous system a break. You know, it feels soothing to us to have like little rituals and little routines. Like, humans are such creatures of habit. So anytime that you can kind of do something a bit more consistently, even if it is just a tiny thing, like when I wake up, for example, when I wake up, my morning routine is almost always the same. If I have work, I wake up, I come in here, I change into my work clothes, I go do my skincare, and then I sit down and do my makeup, and my boyfriend makes my coffee and my breakfast. Spoil. And when I don't have work, I wake up, I go downstairs, get my cold brew out the fridge, and like I do the same shit. I wake up and I'm not thinking, what shall I do when I get up? I know the first like 5 things I'm doing every morning. I do them like a zombie. I'm not thinking about it because it's a routine, right? So like things like that seem kind of minor and insignificant, but they actually are regulating your nervous system and giving yourself that kind of like predictability and safety in your day. You know, it's obviously gonna stress you out a bit if you're doing like different shit all the fucking time. We like routine as humans. So creating that for yourself is just a helpful little tip again. Okay, the next one's kind of random and probably not for everyone. But in terms of like the music that I listen to when I'm, for example, like driving to work or like just driving, you know, a lot of the music that we and I generally listen to, there's like, you know, lyrics and like obviously like stuff going on. But I have a playlist separate to that that's kind of like just soothing music. Like some of them have lyrics, they're just really like kind of, some of it's kind of lo-fi genre, some of it's more jazzy, some of it's just an instrumental that I liked. You know, I have a playlist that's kind of like brain switch off music. It's not like stimulating music, you know, like pop and upbeat, but like it's kind of like just background music to just like, it soothes me. It really calms me down. And I think sometimes, especially if I'm feeling stressed or like maybe I've had like a stressful day or a stressful week and my body is just like in stress mode and it doesn't need to be anymore, you know? Sometimes changing what I'm listening to for a bit and like putting on more relaxing kind of like soothing music, because there's music that's good for your nervous system and there's music that's not very helpful for it. And I think sometimes just like I actually could link my playlist below if you're interested. I have multiple. I have one that's called Mornings Are for Silence, because I went through a phase where every single morning I would drive to work, all I'd listen to was like this kind of like instrumental music. And it's like good fucking music, but there's like no lyrics and it's not upbeat at all. And I found it so relaxing, like, and moody. Maybe that's not for everyone, but for me, like the music I listen to can drastically affect how I feel. Okay, the next one is so huge. This is something that I've really started doing in the last year, is finding like little pockets of time throughout my day. A lot of the time for me, it's when I'm on my break at work, or if I go to the gym and then I sit in my car afterwards for a few minutes. Before bed, sometimes like after I've done my skincare, and then my boyfriend's doing his or having a shower, and then I have like a few minutes of just like peace. I have a little pocket of time there. Doing something to intentionally, again, activate that parasympathetic nervous system. For me, sometimes, like I really like the app Insight Timer, which is like a meditation app, and there's loads of guided meditations or like just background music or breathing guides or whatever the fuck. I will link it below. It's a free app and it's got so much on there, and like there's meditations on there that are like an hour and a half, and there's some that are like 3 minutes. Right? So like creating those little tiny pockets of time throughout my day when I'm busy, or when I'm trying to unwind, or maybe first thing in the morning, like I don't know, just like little, you fucking get it, little minutes throughout my day of like actually just stopping, having a break, checking in with myself, taking some deep breaths, maybe saying some affirmations, maybe just having some silence for a few minutes and not even listening to anything. Maybe it's a sense memory thing like lavender oil and things like that I really like. I always have that next to my bed. Got my oil diffuser when I'm going to sleep and like a lavender pillow spray and stuff. So I keep like a little lavender oil in my car so that if I'm having one of these moments in my break or whenever the fuck I'm in my car, you know, I can like put some on my wrist and like smell it. And it's like that sense memory of like, I link that scent to going to sleep. You're just like taking any time that you have, just even if you're just like at work and you're like in the toilet for a few minutes, like peeing and then just taking like a couple minutes to just sit there and be like, and like just have a fucking break. Do you know what I mean? Giving yourself like little breaks throughout your day to actually just like, instead of going through your entire day, like thing after thing after thing, maybe being like, okay, after I fucking finished this project and after I've had my lunch, I'm gonna just sit outside for 5 minutes and shut my eyes and in the sun and just breathe. But it's just kind of like reconnecting back to yourself and calming your nervous system back down and being like, huh, we're okay, we're good, checking in with yourself. The same way you would with like a partner or a friend, you know, you might check in with them throughout the day and be like, hey, hope you're having a good day, blah, blah, blah. The same thing for yourself. Just give yourself a little like reminder of like, hey, are we all good? You know? I hope we're having a nice day too. You don't have to just do thing after thing after thing and then go to bed and wake up and do it all. You can have little breaks. It's not illegal. Again, I think for me, I used to think I had to do something really time consuming, like, oh, I've got a busy day. I don't have time to like go to a yoga class today. I don't have time to do like a fucking sit down guided meditation in bed. I'm busy and I don't have the time to do that. But it's like just doing a little bit, just doing like a couple minutes does wonders. You'd think it would do nothing because it's like 2 minutes, what's that gonna do? But it fucking does a lot. Like, it really does. I think another one, and this seems kind of random, but it does make a difference, it's stop over explaining yourself. I think over explaining yourself, you know, when you have a tendency to just like, you want someone to get it, you want someone to be on the same page, you feel kind of like uncomfortable with the idea of like being misunderstood or someone perceiving you in the wrong way or thinking you're rude, so you kind of like over explain. You know, that like people pleasing tendency comes out. I think that personally fucks with my nervous system a bit because it's coming from a place of anxiety and like my brain thinking there's some sort of a threat again. You know, I think every time you over explain, you're kind of telling your body that, you know, you're doing something wrong and someone's going to take something wrong and blah, blah, blah. And it puts you in this like high alert, like you feel like you're guilty, like almost. Do you know what I mean? You feel bad when you don't need to. I think when you stop over explaining, you're telling your nervous system that you don't need to defend yourself, you're not doing anything wrong, you're allowed to do what you want, it's okay. And it seems random, but to me, it's just a random thing that I've noticed that when I'm in that state of like everyone needs to be on the same page as me and understand what I'm doing and no one can be mad at me and like blah, 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 then I'm in this state of anxiety and giving too much of a shit about like how I'm being perceived and like forgetting that I can just say no or I can do what I want, you know, and I don't have, someone can completely misunderstand it and it's fine. It doesn't matter. It creates like a sense of groundedness and like inner peace almost to just like accept that and stop trying to make everyone agree and think everything you do is okay and like you. And it's just dropping that care sometimes does wonders to the nervous system in my experience. Another one, again, this is kind of obvious, but nature. Nature is the world's natural de-stressor. Nature is kind of the cheat code to regulating your nervous system. You don't really have to do the work. If you just get outside and be in nature, it will regulate your nervous system. Whether it's, you know, just standing outside for a few minutes in the morning, going for a walk after dinner, swimming in the sea, like whatever it is for you, but like just having some time to get out in nature. If you feel stressed and you don't know what to do about it, go for a walk. Like, it's like advice that you hear all the time and it's like annoying, but it's true. I made a whole episode about this called like the benefits of connecting with nature, and I do think nature just goes at a pace that's slow and it's calming and it's more attainable for us to follow. And I think the world that we live in is so far away from that, and it's so fast paced, on your phone, working, spending all day in an office, everyone's talking, everyone's asking everything of you, and it's like that's not really what people are designed to be. People aren't designed to go at that pace and have their nervous system be absolutely fucked every single day. No wonder we struggle with this, right? And I think you go out in nature, you go for a walk or something, and it just reminds your body of like, okay, this is the pace we're meant to go at, you know? This is more of our speed, you know, the trees changing with the seasons and blah, blah. It just goes at a pace that's like fucking reasonable, that like people can match. You like almost like match the pace and the speed that you spend your time around. And it's like just going and spending time around something that's like slower and more like present and grounded is like just, it's so good for you. Spending all your time inside on your phone will fuck your nervous system. It just will. You need breaks from it. You need to go outside. You need to put your phone down and fucking look at a tree, or like sit and watch the ocean, or like look at the stars at night. Like things like that just fucking like, it gives you that feeling that you just can't explain, where you're like, it makes sense, everything is okay, you know? Getting outside is like one of the best things you can do. Okay, and last two, I will go through these quickly because I feel like I've been talking forever. One of them, again, seems random, but walking away from one-sided situations in your life, whether it's friendships or relationships, leaving things that are constantly exhausting and distressing and not good for you. That is a guaranteed way to dysregulate your nervous system. You're choosing something stressful, you're choosing something that you pour effort into and that's a lot of work that you're not getting back, and it's not mutual, right? That is not good for your nervous system, in my opinion. In my opinion, I endorse choosing peace. I think choose peace. And being in a friendship or a relationship where you're pouring yourself into it and effort into it and making all the plans and doing all the work and carrying all the emotional labor or whatever the fuck it is, or actual labor, I don't know. It's just not, you don't need to be doing that. Like, choosing friendships and relationships that, like, are a give and take is, I think, huge for your nervous system and, like, just you in general. Okay, I actually have two more now. I lied. Another one is, again, this seems so random, but stop trying to fix people. Stop trying to fix people. Stop trying to fix other people's problems. Stop trying to meddle with things you can't control. Stop expending all of your mental energy or physical energy on things in life that you can't control, e.g., other people, right? Other people, what they do, what they're going to think, what they're going to do with their lives, their choices. Whenever my nervous system is completely fucked and all over the place, it's almost always because I've been too attached to things that I can't control, which is obviously extremely stressful because you can't get anywhere with it. You can't do anything about it. It's just stressful to no end. Nothing can come of it. You hit a wall, but the stress just keeps growing and growing and growing. So I think a massive piece of advice from me would be practice healthy detachment. Practice releasing control of people and their choices and what they're going to do, or just things in your life that aren't yours to control. You can't do anything about them. Letting them be what they are and not burning up all your energy and stress about, like, oh, well, if this person did this differently, then they wouldn't have that problem, or this wouldn't have blah, blah, blah. Giving your 2 cents and just kind of backing off is so good for your nervous system. Oh my god, you will frazzle your fucking brain trying to control people and situations and outcomes. You won't get anywhere. It will fuck your nervous system and you will end up with nothing changed anyway. It wasn't worth it. It didn't do anything, So practicing healthy detachment is a massive piece of advice for me. Stop trying to fix people and things that you can't. You can work on yourself. You can give your 2 cents. You can work on things with people, but you can't do much more than that. And the last one, I promise, is accepting reciprocity from people in your life. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Let people help you. Let the people in your life that love you and care about you take things off your plate. Let them make your life easier, because I bet they want to. How many times have you had it where someone's like, oh, let me know if you need help, blah, blah, and you just like naturally are like, I'll just do it myself. Maybe this is just me. This is not just me. You're unnecessarily frazzling your nervous system. You're unnecessarily filling up your plate with stuff to do, like spreading yourself too thin when you forget people are there to help you and you're there to help other people. And again, it's the give and take of like one-sided things. Don't make your own life harder by trying to do everything yourself all the time. There are other people there that are willing to help, that offer help. You can even ask for help. You can go to people and say, I need help with this thing. I have too much on. Is it possible that you could do this errand for me, or that you could, work on this for me, or that, fuck, I still haven't like cleaned the kitchen. Can you do that? Like, people like to help a lot of the time and like to support you and make your life easier, that love you. I love doing this for other people, but like, again, I have trouble accepting it myself sometimes, but that's something I have to remind myself, because it's just another way to stress yourself out and take yourself away from that grounded present place that we're aiming for, because you're trying to do everything yourself, which you can't do. You will frazzle yourself. So accept help, let people help you, is again a tip from me, and that is my last one. But yeah, hopefully any of these tips helped you. Some of them are more like life things, and just food for thought, and some of them are more like, you can just like remember this and do it tomorrow, but I guess they're all just food for thought. Take it if you need it. If you don't, maybe keep it in the back of your brain in case you do at some point, or someone in your life does. But yeah, I hope this helped. I hope you're all doing well, and thank you for listening, and I will talk to you again next week.